How's it going, everybody? It's Smitty, back with another video. Today we're going to discuss some valid Kyle Lowry trade options for this season. As a Raptors fan, it hurts to see Kyle in these trade talks, but I think it's inevitable he will get traded by the end of this season. Masai is known for shipping his franchise players, so I put together 6 potential Kyle Lowry trades that could go down this season. Before we get into this video, it would be awesome if you would check to see if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's completely free, takes 1 second to do, and it really helps my channel grow. According to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, so every one of you is much appreciated. Also, if you happen to enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, as it lets me know if y'all want more content like this. Thank y'all so much for the support. Enjoy, y'all. The first trade option for Kyle Lowry I'll present is to the Miami Heat. I think this trade option actually benefits both teams slightly. Obviously, Kyle Lowry is getting up there in age, and the Heat do have a young core, but the fact of the matter is Jimmy Butler is getting up there in age also. So if the Heat wanted to win with Jimmy Butler, they're going to have to acquire another player similar to that pseudo all-star caliber player, and that's exactly what Kyle Lowry is. On top of that, Kyle Lowry is a champion, he is a veteran, he is one of the best leaders in the NBA, and he doesn't just lead by example, he also does all sorts of other things to help out team chemistry, and honestly, he does fit the play style that Miami's looking for. Kyle Lowry's willing to take charges, he's willing to do some dirty things behind the scenes in order to help his team win, and that's exactly what Miami is. In this trade I have situated, Kyle Lowry going to the Heat. He has that $30 million one-year contract, and the Raptors receiving Tyler Hero, who's on a $3.8 million deal for 3 years, and Goran Dragic. Goran Dragic is a pretty good NBA player, but he's mainly in the deal simply because of contracts. Overall, the Raptors do get a great player in return, Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero could potentially be an all-star one day. Could even be better, could be worse, but I'd say that's probably a good target for Tyler Hero's career. And yeah, Goran Dragic makes the contracts work. As a Heat fan, you don't really want to see you giving up Tyler Hero. I think if I was a Heat fan, I'd probably rather Kendrick Nunn being talked about in this conversation. But I just don't think Kendrick Nunn could get the value done for the Heat in this trade. I know Tyler Hero has great ties with all of the Heat players, but I feel like if the Heat wanted to put themselves into that realistic contenders tier of teams, they're going to have to acquire a guy like Kyle Lowry, and this is the trade to do it. The next option I have is a 3-team deal for Kyle Lowry, featuring the Raptors, the Clippers, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. This one is a little bit more complicated, but give me a second to explain it. First of all, the Raptors would be getting Andre Drummond from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Andre is actually in a very similar situation to Kyle Lowry, as he only has 1 year left on his deal, and the Cleveland Cavaliers just got Jared Allen, who's a young center coming up through the ranks, and he's kind of pushing Andre Drummond out of the organization, while Kyle Lowry has the exact same situation with Fred VanVleet. So honestly, it's more like the Raptors are just switching around positions. Instead of getting a good vet point guard, they're switching to a center in Andre Drummond. Obviously, Drummond isn't quite as good as Kyle Lowry, but on top of that, they would get some more value with these second-round picks via the Clippers. Obviously, the Clippers in this deal get Kyle Lowry. The final piece to really cement the Clippers as the favorites, I think if the Clippers did have Kyle Lowry, they would probably be considered the favorites, considering that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Kyle Lowry all have elite defense, and they can all put the ball on the floor, all can make buckets, and their leadership is there. Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard already have established chemistry. I think he'd slip into that squad perfectly. He could run the offense, which is actually probably the Clippers' biggest weakness, because Paul George can't really run the offense, and obviously Kawhi Leonard can't run the offense. So having that floor general guy like Kyle Lowry, who can actually step up and be the leader for this team, not necessarily as the best player, obviously, he would be the third option, but he could definitely step up and establish himself as a leader, role model on the team. And obviously in this deal, the Cavs get Marcus Morris. That kind of just makes contracts work out. And then 2 second-round picks, 1 second-round pick via the Clippers, and a 2024 pick from the Clippers via Detroit. Honestly, I feel like this is a pretty even trade. If you're a Cavs fan, you really don't like to see it, considering that the picks aren't really that great. They're in 2024. You're basically trading for a 10th grader, but at the same time, Andre Drummond's contract is bad. I know he's off in 1 year, but it might be worth it for the Cavs. Obviously, it's worth it for the Clippers. They're just giving up picks and Marcus Morris. And for the Raptors, I don't really know if it's worth it. As a Raptors fan, I'm not really a fan of Andre Drummond. You could put Chris Boucher at power forward. But if you were looking to develop Chris Boucher, I don't think the Raptors would be in the running to go for Andre Drummond. The next trade option is Kyle Lowry to the San Antonio Spurs. I put this trade in here just because I think it's a feel-good trade. Actually, for Raptors fans, even though you're getting rid of Kyle Lowry, you're reuniting him with DeMar DeRozan. And I think that would be a great full circle kind of story. As for the Spurs, I actually think this trade is a win for the Raptors. I think the Spurs are getting gypped here, but if they wanted to have that nostalgia factor, it might be worth it for them. Obviously, Kyle Lowry's only on a 1-year deal. His value isn't that high. You'd have to hope that he's going to stay in San Antonio with DeRozan. That'd be the only reason why the Spurs would do this. In this deal, I have the Raptors getting DeJounte Murray, who is actually blossoming into a star in this league. I believe he's averaging 15 points per game on very, very high efficiency, showing some promise on defense. He's a great young stud. He's on a $14.2 million contract over 4 years. They would be getting a 2021 first-round pick, Rudy Gay to make the contracts work, and Trey Jones. Trey Jones just makes the contracts almost perfect. With it honestly, the contracts in this deal work out to within $90K, so that's actually pretty good. But overall, I feel like the Raptors do get what they want. They get young talent, excluding Rudy Gay, but that's just to make contracts work. He's off in a year, and you get a good first-round pick. I think it's really good for the Raptors, and I think it would be nice to see Lowry and DeRozan reunite for the back end of their career and kind of just play it out, maybe play a couple playoff series. I definitely think that Spurs team would be a top 4 seed just because of the chemistry. And yeah, they also have LaMarcus Aldridge, who isn't a bad player. They have some other young talent on that team too, so I think it's actually not a bad trade in hindsight. The next trade option I have is Kyle Lowry to the Denver Nuggets. This one, I don't really know how you'd classify this trade. I feel like the Raptors would win this type of trade. I don't know if Nuggets fans and the Nuggets organization are willing to give up their young talent this early to try to win now. I feel like this would be more of a potential trade option in a year or two. But the thing is, Kyle Lowry's off his contract. I don't know if he's re-signing. I am assuming he's re-signing, but regardless, I don't think it fits the time frame for the Nuggets. Murray is still pretty young. But yeah, in this trade I have the Raptors getting Gary Harris to make the contracts work. But he's still a great player. Definitely not worth that $19 million, but he's still a pretty productive NBA player. Then Michael Porter Jr., he's the main focus of the deal. He's on a 2-year, $3.5 million contract. And Bol Bol. Bol Bol's just extra value. I think the Raptors would want Bol Bol, considering he is a center. Could develop him alongside Chris Boucher and company. And then obviously the Nuggets get Kyle Lowry and a 2023 second-round pick. I put in the second-round pick just because I don't think Kyle Lowry is worth it straight up, considering he's only on a 1-year deal. But this definitely puts the Nuggets into playoff contention. They've been struggling so far. They have not that great of a record from what we thought they would be, considering they made the Western Conference Finals last year and came back from 2 3-1 deficits in the playoffs. That team was showing some real promise. Jeremy Grant hurt them leaving. But I really do think Kyle Lowry would propel this Nuggets team to a top 5 seed this season if they made the trade at the All-Star break right now. But regardless, I'm not the biggest fan of this trade for either side. I feel like the time frame doesn't quite work. Maybe if Kyle Lowry had a couple more years left on this deal, and in a year from now, the Nuggets were looking to sell off their young guys, maybe it would be a good trade for both teams, but I just don't think it's worth it for either team. The next trade option I have for Kyle Lowry is to the Philadelphia 76ers. This will probably be the one in the thumbnail. Obviously, Kyle Lowry is from Philadelphia. He has tons of ties there. He said, I believe in interviews, that he would like to go to Philadelphia at some point in his career. It is conflicting interest, though. Philadelphia and the Raptors have somewhat of a rivalry, but I still think it is a good trade for Kyle. He might honestly have signed there in free agency regardless. But honestly, I do think Kyle Lowry would sign with the Raptors, but his second option would probably be Philadelphia. But in this trade, Philadelphia does go over the luxury tax, which isn't great. You don't really like to see that as a general manager or an owner of a team, but I actually really like this trade. Not for the Raptors, but for the 76ers. In this trade, the Raptors would get Danny Green to make contracts work to a certain extent. Obviously, it wouldn't quite work, but to take a bit more load off of the 76ers in terms of cap space. And then 3 picks. A second-round pick via New York, a first-round pick via Philadelphia, and a second-round pick via Philadelphia. 2 2021 picks, 1 2023 pick. I think maybe if the 76ers could provide one more second-round pick, or maybe convert one of those second-round picks to a first-round pick, it would be worth it for the Raptors. I just don't think the 76ers are willing to do that, though. But let's be honest here. If Philadelphia has Kyle Lowry for Danny Green, they're definitely championship contenders, without a doubt. That big four is just unreal. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Kyle Lowry. That's the best big four in the NBA, from what I'm thinking. Unless you want to say the Brooklyn Nets, Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Harden, and Joe Harris. But honestly, for the most balanced big four, that would definitely be it. But yeah, I think the 76ers then propelled to maybe the favorites to win the championship. But honestly, I'd still probably put them on the same tier as the Brooklyn Nets in the East. But regardless, I think this trade is something that could definitely go through. Maybe if there's Matisse Thybulle being thrown around there, they don't have to give out as many picks. But still, I do think that this is a trade that could go down really, really soon. Maybe right after the All-Star break. We'll have to see. The final trade option I'm going to present is the Raptors trading Kyle Lowry to the New York Knicks. This trade is actually pretty good, considering that the Knicks have been really hot to start the season. They may actually want to go win now. I know Knicks fans are deprived from not being in the playoffs, so they may actually want to push for this. Obviously, if the Knicks can acquire Kyle Lowry this season, they're definitely making the playoffs without a doubt. They'll probably be a top 6 seed, maybe top 5 seed. But yeah, if the Knicks had Kyle Lowry, they would definitely be going for win now. Obviously, they wouldn't win the championship. You never really know, but the odds would be definitely stacked against them, even with Kyle Lowry. But it definitely secures them a spot in the playoffs. What I have situated is RJ Barrett, which I think would have to be the main focal point of the deal. This is actually kind of nice as a Raptors fan. RJ Barrett, the hometown hero, the Maple Mamba. It would be great for him to come back to his birthplace in Ontario to play with the Raptors. That would be really good. And he's also on a great contract. He's a great young prospect. He could be an all-star one day. People forget that RJ Barrett, at one point in Duke, was actually being considered as a better prospect than Zion Williamson. At one point during Duke. Put that into perspective. This dude has so much skill. I think he just needs to settle down. If he's in the Raptors organization, I think he'll be right at home. I think he'll actually become a better player. And then I also have Mitchell Robinson in the deal and a 2023 first-round pick from New York. As a Raptors fan, this trade would be great. I think they're actually milking the New York Knicks a little bit too much in this deal, but you know Knicks management. This is probably something that will go down. But regardless, I actually wouldn't be mad if I'm a Knicks fan in this trade, even though you're giving up a lot of young talent. If you really just want to see maybe a second round exit, maybe a third round exit. I don't think a third round exit, but if you want to try to make the second round, I feel like this would actually be a pretty good trade for the New York Knicks. Thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. Let me know in the comments what you think about this situation and the trade options I presented. Keep in mind that I am no professional at this, and for all I know, Kyle might not get traded. But anyways, if you happen to enjoy this video, consider leaving a like, as it will recommend this video to other people. And if you like basketball, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I post all sorts of basketball related content on here. Anyways, this is Smitty, signing off.